June 18, 1945, D-Day +3. When the infantrymen ashore woke the next morning, they looked out in amazement at the empty ocean, and a wave of uneasy questions raced through their minds. Where in hell are our ships? What about food and ammunition we've got to have? Will we get back the daytime naval supporting gunfire, and also the starshell illumination? The men in frontline combat had no way of knowing that over 33,000 tons of cargo had already been unloaded when the ships withdrew. Both Marine divisions went on the attack, while the 105th Infantry joined the 165th on the far right flank, enabling Ralph Smith to put his 27th Division into motion to occupy Oslido Airfield and attack along the southern coast. That same morning, 18th June, the 4th Marine Division attack objective was the seizure of the 03 line. This would mean reaching the east coast of Saipan and splitting in two the Japanese forces. First, however, the 23rd Marines, reinforced by a battalion of the 24th Marines, had to seize the portion of the 02 line in its zone. This was to be the division's line of departure. The entire division, with 3 infantry regiments abreast, jumped off at 10:40. At 13:40, the 25th Marines had reached 03. The 24th Marines had tank-led Japanese counterattacks on both flanks, but was able to reach 03 before dark. The 23rd Marines, however, was stopped by intense enemy mortar and machine gun fire coming from southeast of Lake Susupe, right on the boundary line between the two Marine divisions, making it unclear which division had responsibility for wiping out these enemy positions. At the same time, it was impossible to fire artillery on them for fear of hitting friendly troops. As a result, the 23rd Marines suffered heavy casualties. So, by the end of the day, although all of the 4th Marine Division's regiments were in contact, a gap still existed between the two Marine divisions. The bizarre becomes commonplace in combat. For instance, one of the 23rd Marines' 75mm half-tracks fired into a Japanese cave that day, and a dense cloud of noxious fumes came pouring out. A gas alarm was sounded. This meant serious trouble, for all the riflemen had long since jettisoned their burdensome gas masks. Relief flooded through the men as it was established that the fumes were not poisonous, and came from picric acid the Japanese had stored in the cave. Over in the 2nd Division's zone, the 8th Marines saw some bitter fighting over Hill 240. A heavily defended coconut grove required saturation fire from the artillery of the 10th Marines before the riflemen could smash their way in and clean out the grove. The price for the two Marine divisions had been heavy. By the night of D+3, they had been bled by more than 5,000 casualties. June 19th through the 22nd, D-Day 4 through D-Day 7. The most critical event of 19th June, and perhaps the most important of the whole Saipan campaign, took place at sea, well out of sight of the infantrymen ashore. The opposing carrier task forces clashed in a gigantic air battle. When it was over that night, the Japanese had suffered the catastrophic loss of 330 out of 430 planes they had launched. Exultant U.S. Navy flyers labeled it the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. With the help of American submarines and additional carrier plane attacks the next day, the Japanese attempt to relieve Saipan by a decisive naval victory was smashed. As an official account summarized the impact ashore, the eventual doom of the enemy garrison was assured, and the American supply ships were able to return offshore to unload their vital cargoes. During the 4-day span of D+4 to D+7, the 105th Infantry moved slowly along the south coast, and then joined the 165th Infantry in sealing off the die-hard Japanese survivors in Nafutan Point in the southeastern corner of the island. Once the enemy was penned in, the 105th was assigned to eliminate him. The rest of the 27th Division, now including the 106th Infantry, was ordered north to be the Corps Reserve. This period, 19th–22nd June, marked a total shift in direction for the American troops. Pivoting on the 2nd Marines on the far left flank along the western shore, the other Marine regiments swung around from their drive, which had reached the east coast, to face north, with their right flank on Majishen Bay. On 20th of June, the 4th Division confronted a key objective. Lieutenant Chapin had a ringside seat. We had a perfect chance to watch a battalion of the 25th making an attack. It was in action about a quarter of a mile from us, and the whole panorama was spread out before us. They were assaulting Hill 500, the dominant terrain feature of the whole area, and it was apparent that they were running into a solid wall of Jap fire. But, using artillery-timed fire, smoke, and tanks, they finally stormed the top and took it. The use of those supporting arms provided a magnificent spectacle. From our vantage point, we could see the timed fire bursting in cave entrances and moving down the face of the hill as precisely as if it were going down a stepladder. On the lower levels, the flamethrower tanks were spouting their napalm jets upward into other caves. It was quite a sight.